Hello friend, this is your host. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you all are well and doing great. So today I am back with another video, with another book to give a review on, which is The Nest by Conrad Jones. It's all about the rats are back and they are hungry. Harold Kolsky shivered uncontrollable as an icy gust swept through the dimly lit tunnel. Most of the lights were out. Some of the remaining ones were flickering, giving the passing train a strobe effect. Each step was painful, his joints burning with the infection as he descended deeper. The echoes of the subway station above faded into a haunting murmur, leaving only the distant trickle of water. And fluttering of bats' wings. Bats' wings and the awful squeaking noise they made. A sound he had come to dread. He was seeking the sanctuary of a warmer section of the tunnel network where he had slept before. It was part of the original ventilation network. He had stumbled upon the old pumping station almost by accident. Entering through a side entrance had a metal door which had gate open like a mouth hungry for lost souls. But he had no fear for that. He had lost his soul in the in the Iraqi desert of miles away, so that held no deterrent for him. The nightmare still haunted him, When death finally came, it would be a blessing and he would embrace the peace of eternity. If he wasn't such a coward, he would end it himself. But he couldn't make the final step. Despite trying several times but failing at the last hurdle. He had stood at the side of the tracks waiting for the train to arrive, planning to hurl himself beneath the thundering wheels, but couldn't do it. The thought of his final seconds on this planet being spent in excruciating pain was enough to stop him following the plan through to the end. He would have to wait for nature to take its course. The thick smell of mildew and decay clung to the air, but it was better than the darkness of the streets above. They may be lit by street lights, but the evil of humanity was never far away. Darkness comes in many forms, but most of them walk upright on two legs. The people who lived in the tunnels, some called them the mole people, had moved below the surface to avoid other humans. Purely because it was safer than sleeping in parks and alleyways. And the pressure of the rat race was too much for some to endure. For Harold and hundreds of others, living underground was better than exposing to unforgiving world above. The tunnels were warm and he never knew of it was a day or night, nor that it mattered. He slept when he was tired. His salvaged camouflage jacket, combat trousers and army boot kept him warm, and he was never without his Delta Force beanie hat. Although his face looked 20 years older than his years, but he was still a strong man and carried himself upright and proud. Look what we have got here. The male sneered, his voice dripping with bravado, youthful irreverence, colliding with the brutality of their surroundings. An older soldier, alone in the dark. Remember me? I know your face, Harold Knight. He couldn't remember his own name sometimes. How are you, Harold? What do you care how I am? Harold said. Eyeing him, he recognized them as regulars below ground. They were young and violent and not to be trusted. Certainly not with a bourbon around. They weren't the sharing kind. More likely to stab you than hand the bottle around. What have you got for us, Gramps? Nothing. You have some bourbon? I know you do. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. We can share it, have a chat, and relax together. The male grinned. Come on, Harold, give up a sip or two. Nope, my liquor is my liquor and isn't for sharing. We just want somewhere warm to sleep and something nice to drink. Go find another place to bed down. We like it here. This is mine for tonight. Don't be so unfriendly. Come on, Harold, share the booze. The girl said, grinning, picking a child's doll. We just want a little taster of it. Do you have any food? Harold's eyes narrowed at the sound of her voice, a low growl escaping from his throat. A warning that fell on deaf ears. He had no intention of giving them any of his precious bourbon, and desperation clawed at his insides. Go away and leave me alone. He rasped, feeling the heaviness of fever twist around his mind. I have enough water for me to get through the next few days and nothing else. Just leave me in peace. The girl giggled, stepping closer, her face a mask of boredom. And taunting amusement. I want some bobo. Keep your water in those sneakers. Look like they would fit me, she mused. I like them. I like them a lot. Harold decided that she was dangerous, skinny female or not. It was in her eyes. What's wrong, old man? Scared? Emily whispers in the darkness. It was sunrise by the street lights. Glowed outside Emily Ray's apartment, casting shadows that danced across the walls, morphing into grotesque shapes as the wind howled through the alleyways of the midtown buildings. Emily sat cross-legged on the living room floor, a half-empty glass of Georgia, a memory from the night before. Its deep red contents glistening like freshly spilled blood. The sight of it made her feel sick. Her head thick and sleepy. The room was empty of love, instead dominated by loss. The remnants of her home now stood in disarray, a reflection of her spiraling thoughts. Levin wasn't coming home. She knew that. It had been a sleepless night. One tear streaked moment bleeding into another. The clock ticked relentlessly on the wall. rhythmic percussion pounding against her nerves, each tick a reminder of the hours that crawled by without label. Her phone remained on, fully charged, fully silent. Dead people don't call back. Emily thought of the carefree laughter they shared, how it echoed off the walls and filled the empty spaces of their lives. But now the silence was a gaping void, a wound that hadn't begun to heal. She dissected every moment from the last time they had spoken. Unraveling the threads of her disappearance in a desperate analysis of what could have happened. She could be alive. Levin had kissed her goodbye with that familiar warmth, a spark igniting in Emily's core. The promise of intimacy later, but she didn't return home, leaving only the cold shadows of uncertainty in her wake. She suspected the worst, but she needed to hear it absolutely certain. Your wife is dead. What the hell is taking them so long? Emily muttered to herself, fighting the swell of panic raising in her chest. Why don't they know who is dead and who isn't? Because there won't be anything left but clothes and bones. She reached for her phone once more. The empty screen, cruel and compounding her darkened thoughts. No new messages appeared, not a single notification to break the stifling silence. The not knowing was worse. Tormenting and twisting her mind. Life had been so beautifully mundane before the rats. They had made plans that week around her new job. Plans she now realized were shattered in an instant. Her mind raced back to the news reports that flooded in, a after the horrors at Penn Station. She had scrolled through the grainy footage, feeling each gut-wrenching moment settle like a rock in her stomach. She turned on the television and put bread into the toaster. The smell made her feel hungry. She hadn't eaten the day before. As the bread toasted, she watched some of the footage from the entrance of Penn Station. Mountains of dead black rats and men in uniforms and NBC suits were carrying bodies from the station, loading them into buses. They showed some phone camera images of the attacks. A flash of chaos unfolded as panic erupted on the platforms. Swarms of unnaturally large rats overwhelming the unsuspecting crowd. Time seemed to freeze while everything had cracked. A recording of the violence world trembled beneath the unimaginable terror of the rats. It was a short clip, heavily edited, to spare the public the horror of humans being torn apart. While they ate their breakfast. She ate her toast with butter, showered and washed her hair, moving like a robot on automatic pilot. Picking out a business suit, she prepared for work. knowing she had a few hours spare before she started. Once she was dressed, she dialed Levin's parents' number, barely containing the tremble in her voice. The ringing echoed in stark contrast to the uneasy silence of her apartment. It was too quiet. Hello, a voice crackled over the line, one steeped in fatigue and worry. Her mother-in-law's. Mary, it's Emily. It's very early. I am getting ready for work. How are you coping? I am not. Us too. You have heard anything? Had nothing? Nothing, have you? No. I just hope she is unconscious in a hospital somewhere. Emily's voice quaked. Gripping the phone tighter as if it might provide some semblance of reassurance. I have been thinking the same thing. There is no other good explanations. She knows how worried you will be not hearing from her since yesterday. She knows how worried you will be not hearing from her since yesterday, came the reply, a sharp intake of breath signaling the uncertainty that loomed between them. We thought she was just working late and maybe her phone broke. She paused. We saw some of the footage from Penn Station. Me too. It was an attack like nothing have seen and I don't know what happened. And I don't know what happened, but I have got a contact in the NYPD hierarchy. And she will keep me informed as they gather information. The words spill forth, each sentence a jagged piece carved from fear. It felt like a pointless thing to say. It must be impossible to organize anything following something like that. All those people killed and maimed. If she was conscious, she would have called, wouldn't she? Her mother in law asked. A desperate hope clinging to her voice. Yes, of course. Emily felt the grief prickling under her skin, rising like an allergy. She would have, but she hasn't. I called her work. I called her friends. No one knows anything. Except she loved work to get the subway home to Penn Station. A heavy pause hung in the air like an unwanted guest. Both women lost in the churning uncertainty, the silence echoing the unspoken truth they dared not voice. There was nothing more to say. She is dead, and we both know it. Anyway, I must dash. Weak bladder. It's my age. Keep us posted, Emily. Her mother-in-law finally said, the resignation evident in her words. She wanted to get off the call so she could weep uncontrollably for her child. Will stay by the phone. If we were younger, We would check every hospital in the area. But you could maybe call some of them. Yeah, of course I will. I will call you as soon as I know nothing. Emily replied, her throat closing around the words as she hung up. She felt burdened by something far heavier than grief. An unbearable sense of dread clawing at her insides, and it was debilitating. She couldn't think straight. Calling hospitals for the information was a waste of time. They were not allowed to give any info over the phone, with no knowledge of who was calling. She could understand her mother's anxiety, but that was how things worked on any given day. But following a disaster, not a chance. Unless she walks through that door, we'll have to wait to know. Her hand shook as she reached for the first vial of fentanyl. Normally, she had double-checked the patient chart, confirmed dosage, say a prayer. Today, she simply unscrewed the cap, filled the syringe, and plunged it into old Mrs. Harrow's IV line. There is now lovely, silly old bed. Good night and God bless you, she whispered, patting the woman's limp hand. The angels are coming. Sleep tight. Mrs. Harrow stayed once. Made a choking sound deep in her throat and fell still. Her cloudy eyes stared at the crucifix on the wall. Sister Monica pushed her cart to the next room and the next, administering deaths to the dying. Onward Christian soldiers marching off to war. She was humming now. Now, Bill, you old bastard. Time for you to fuck off and meet your maker. Nearer my goat to thee, she sang. Another injection. Bastard Bill was dispatched to the Lord. He had been an obnoxious prick. He's going to be a soldier in the army of the Lord. And his soul goes marching on. The song melted in her throat like rotten fruit. Her mouth was dry, her tongue thick, her teeth ached in their sockets. She sucked from a tap and wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. She opened another vial, another injection, then another. She moved from room to room, death wearing latex gloves. She gave them all the same dose, enough to flatten a horse, enough to stop time. In their sleep or praying on their rosaries, none of them screamed. None had time to understand. None of them survived. To Sister Monica, it was mercy, it was release. The world outside was crumbling under claws and teeth. The race had come and hell was riding shotgun. Better they go quickly. Better the saints come. Or the devil, some of them would be going the other way. No doubt about it. When she reached the room of Father John, the retired priest who once served in Harlem, she he had been a pedophile all his life. She knew all about his misdemeanors and being moved from one church to the next to hide his filth. He looked up from his Bible. Mouth half, but he's not yours, she whispered. She took some surgical scissors from trolley and pulled back the sheets. Father John tried to sit up, but she punched him in the face again. She pulled his pajamas down with a well-practiced yank, took his penis before to. Father John screamed like a child. That's for all the children she interfered with. She let him scream while she injected 3 more patients. Inmates more like. Then she gave him the shot. He was making such a noise, enough to wake the dead. It was 9:58 a.m. when the last patient, Agnes, went cold. Sister Monica wheeled her cart to the end of the hallway. Her steps now slow, uncertain. She was humming again, though the melody had turned dissonant, like a children's song twisted through a broken radio. She pushed open the door to the basement. It groaned like a thing in pain. The stairs led down into darkness, smelled of mildew and warm metal. She moved like a sleepwalker, one hand on the wall. And fever glazed in the boiler room. She found the jerry can. It had been there for emergencies for the generator. She poured it over herself slowly. Reluctantly, it soaked into her clothes, her scalp, her skin. Her lips moved in a silent prayer, or maybe a curse. Who could tell anymore? She lit a match. And Sister Monica, nun, nurse, madwoman, killer, became a pyre. She gyrated around a few times, the pain incredible, but it didn't last long. When she fell, her limbs twitched for a while, and the nursing home was quiet, still as the grave. So this is all we have from this book. I hope you guys liked the story. If you did, don't forget to press the like button. And if you have any suggestion for a book review, you can tell me in the comment section. So I'll make a video on that book too. And if you wanted to buy these books, you can buy it from our website, Best Book for You. And I'll be back with another book, with another video to give a review on. Till then, just take care and goodbye.